Your home is lying to you. It looks organized on the surface. The couch cushions are straight, the countertops are mostly clear. From the doorway, everything looks fine. But open the third kitchen drawer. Look at the shelf in the back of your closet. Check the corner of your bedroom floor where things just seem to gather. That's the truth. And here's the part nobody talks about. The clutter in your home isn't a cleaning problem. It isn't a storage problem. It isn't even a discipline problem. It's a system problem. Most people spend their entire lives reacting to the mess in their homes, cleaning up, reorganizing, buying new storage solutions, only to find themselves back in the same chaos 6 weeks later because they keep treating the symptoms instead of fixing the cause. Japan figured this out centuries ago. In a country where living spaces are among the smallest in the developed world, the Japanese didn't just learn to organize, they developed a complete philosophy of how a home should function, how objects should enter it, live in it, and leave it. A philosophy so effective that Japanese homes feel effortlessly calm, not because they're empty, but because every single thing in them has a purpose, a place, and a reason to stay. Today, I'm going to give you the 10 Japanese home habits that don't just organize your space, they change the relationship you have with everything you own. And once you understand these, you will never look at your home the same way again. These aren't tips, they aren't quick fixes, they're principles, and like all principles, they only work when you actually commit to them. So let's go deep, starting with the one habit that determines whether every other habit on this list will work or fail. Habit 1, Danshari. Stop the flood before you organize anything. Here is the mistake almost every person makes when they decide to get organized. They start organizing before they stop accumulating. They buy new bins, new shelf systems, new labels, and 6 months later, the bins are overflowing, the shelves are double stacked, and the labels are hidden behind piles of things that were never supposed to be there in the first place. The Japanese concept of Danshari says this clearly. You cannot organize your way out of too much stuff. You have to stop the flood first. Danshari has 3 parts. Dan, refuse. Stop allowing unnecessary things through your front door before they ever become your problem. Ask before every single purchase, does this earn its space? If the answer requires more than 2 seconds, the answer is no. Sha, dispose. Look honestly at what you already own and ask the same question, not might I need this someday. That question always leads to keeping everything. Instead ask, would I buy this again today if I didn't already own it? If not, it goes. Detach. This is the deepest part. It means releasing the emotional grip that objects have on you, the gift you don't love but keep out of guilt, the clothes that fit the person you used to be, the equipment for the hobby you stopped doing 3 years ago. These things are not memories, they're anchors. Before you organize a single shelf, practice Danshari, because organizing things you should have let go of is just expensive procrastination. Habit 2, one in, one out, the law of constant equilibrium. Once Danshari stops the flood, the one in, one out rule prevents it from ever starting again. The rule is exactly what it sounds like. Every single time something new enters your home, something existing must leave. New jacket comes in, old jacket goes out. New book arrives, one book from the shelf finds a new home. New kitchen gadget, one gadget you haven't used in 6 months is donated. No exceptions, no just this once, no temporary storage while you decide. The power of this rule isn't in the rule itself, it's in what it forces you to do before every purchase. Because when you know that buying something new means losing something you already own, you suddenly become very honest about whether you actually need it. Most impulse purchases don't survive that question. This rule turns your home from an ever-expanding warehouse into a living ecosystem that breathes, where things flow in and flow out at the same rate, and the space itself stays constant and controlled. Habit 3. The 5S system. Give every object a permanent address. Here is a question that reveals the health of any home. When you put something down, do you place it or do you just leave it? Most people leave things. They set the keys somewhere near the door, they put the remote somewhere on the couch, they leave the scissors somewhere in the kitchen, and then they spend 20 minutes a day looking for things that were never truly put away. The Japanese 5S system, Sairi, Seitan, Seiso, Seiketsu, Shitsuke, solves this permanently. The core principle is simple. Every single object in your home must have one specific, permanent, predetermined address. Not in the kitchen, not in the drawer, the exact spot, the third hook on the left, the second shelf, right side, front corner. When every object has a precise home, two things happen. First, you never look for anything, because it is always exactly where it belongs. Second, the moment something is out of place, it is immediately visible. Disorder becomes impossible to ignore, because order has been so precisely defined. This is what separates a home that stays organized from one that needs to be reorganized every few months. The system does the work, not your willpower. Osoji, the deep reset that clears more than dust. There's regular cleaning, and then there's Osoji. Regular cleaning maintains the surface. Osoji resets the entire system. In Japan, Osoji is practiced as a major seasonal ritual, a major intentional deep clean that goes far beyond wiping counters and vacuuming floors. It means reaching the places that are never reached, the tops of cabinets, the space behind the refrigerator, the bottom of the wardrobe, the inside of drawers that haven't been fully emptied in years. But here's the part that matters most about Osoji. It isn't just physical. Every time you reach a forgotten corner of your home, you're also confronting a forgotten corner of your habits. The pile behind the door that you've been stepping around for months, the drawer you've been avoiding opening, the shelf you've been pretending isn't there. Osoji forces honesty. It won't let you maintain the illusion that your home is organized when it clearly isn't in the places nobody sees. Practice it twice a year at minimum, and treat it not as a chore, but as a transition ritual, because you genuinely cannot begin a new chapter of your life in a space that is still holding the physical weight of the old one. Habit 5, the 80% rule, sacred empty space. Here is something that will feel deeply counterintuitive the first time you hear it. Empty space in your home is not wasted space, it is functional space, and it is the most important space you have. The Japanese 80% rule states that no storage space, no shelf, no drawer, no closet should ever be filled beyond 80% of its capacity. The remaining 20% must stay deliberately empty, not because you don't have enough stuff to fill it, but because that 20% is what makes the other 80% usable. When a drawer is packed to its absolute limit, finding anything inside it becomes a small act of frustration. When a closet is crammed completely full, hanging something up becomes a minor battle. And when tasks become frustrating, even slightly, people stop doing them. Things get left out, left on the floor, left on the counter, and the cycle of clutter begins. That 20% buffer is the difference between a system that maintains itself and one that collapses under the weight of its own fullness. Protect the empty space. It is not nothing. It is what makes everything else work. Habit 6. Zanshin. Finish what you actually started. In Japanese martial arts, Zanshin means sustained awareness, the alertness that continues after the main action is complete. Applied to your home, Zanshin means this: a task is not finished when you stop doing it. A task is finished when the environment is returned to its original state. Most people violate this constantly without realizing it. You make coffee and leave the grounds on the counter. You do a workout and leave the equipment in the middle of the room. You open mail and leave the envelopes on the table. You cook dinner and leave the spice jars out. Each of these feels like nothing, a small thing left for later. But later never comes, and small things become piles, and piles become the clutter you spend your weekend cleaning. Zanshin demands a different standard. The activity is not complete until the environment is restored. The spices go back before the coffee is poured. The equipment goes away before the shower is taken. The envelopes go in the recycling before you sit down. This single habit, practiced consistently, is enough to prevent the majority of clutter from ever forming in the first place. Habit 7. Room boundaries. Respect the threshold. Every room in your home has a purpose, and clutter almost always begins with a single object that crossed a threshold it had no business crossing. The office stapler that ended up on the kitchen counter, the bedroom book that ended up in the living room, the bathroom products that somehow ended up on the dining table. This is what the Japanese call threshold discipline, the practice of treating every internal doorway as a genuine boundary. Before you carry something from one room to another, you stop and ask, does this object belong in the space I'm about to enter? If the answer is no, you either put it away properly or you leave it where it is. This sounds almost too simple to be significant, but the vast majority of household clutter is not created by major events. It is created by dozens of small objects crossing dozens of small thresholds every single day without anyone stopping to ask whether they should. Enforce the boundaries, keep the rooms honest, and watch how dramatically the clutter stops migrating through your home. Habit 8. Shun. Rotate to stay awake. There is a psychological phenomenon called clutter blindness. It happens when objects stay in the same position for so long that your brain stops registering them entirely. The pile of books that has been on the corner of the desk for 4 months, the bedroom book that ended up in the living room, the bathroom products that somehow ended up on the dining table. This is what the Japanese call Shun, the practice of rhythmic rotation, is the antidote. Every week or two, make one small, deliberate change to a space in your home. Rotate what is displayed on a shelf, move a single piece of art, reorganize one drawer, reevaluate one small surface. This is not redecorating for the sake of it. This is forcing your brain to see your home with fresh eyes on a regular basis. Because the moment you move something, even slightly, you have to handle it. And the moment you handle it, you have to assess it. Does this still deserve this space? Shun prevents your home from becoming invisible to you. And a home you can truly see is a home you can genuinely maintain. Habit 9. Hitofude Gaki. Design your home for flow. A perfectly organized home is not just visually clean, it is physically efficient. Hitofude Gaki, the Japanese concept of the single unbroken stroke applied to your living space, means this. Every daily task you perform in your home should flow in a single, logical, uninterrupted path, from start to finish, with no doubling back, no hunting for missing pieces, no opening 4 different drawers to complete one simple action. Think about your morning routine. Where is your toothbrush relative to your toothpaste? Where are your teas relative to your coat? Where is your coffee relative to your mug? If completing any of these routines requires unnecessary movement, backtracking, searching, compensating, your home is costing you time and energy every single day without you even realizing it. Audit your most frequent daily paths. Identify the friction. Eliminate it by repositioning the objects involved so that the path becomes a single, natural flow. When your home is designed for the way you actually live, not the way you think you should live, every day inside it becomes measurably easier. Habit 10. Omotenashi to your future self. Prepare the stage. The final habit is the one that ties all the others together, and it is perhaps the most profound shift in thinking on this entire list. Omotenashi is the Japanese art of selfless hospitality, the practice of anticipating someone's needs and preparing for them before they arrive. It is usually reserved for guests, but the most powerful version of this habit is when you apply it to yourself, specifically to the version of you that will walk through the door tomorrow. Most people treat their future self like a stranger they have no responsibility toward. They leave the dishes for tomorrow. They drop the coat on the chair just for now. They tell themselves they'll deal with it later, and in doing so, they hand tomorrow's version of themselves an inherited mess to manage before the day has even begun. Omotenashi to your future self means reversing this completely. Every time you leave a room, you ask one simple question. Is this space ready for the next person who uses it, even if that person is you? You don't just clear the dinner table, you set it for breakfast. You don't just kick off your shoes, you align them so stepping into them tomorrow requires 0 effort. You don't just turn off the light, you leave the room in better condition than you found it. When you walk into your own home and find it prepared for you, genuinely ready, genuinely calm, you experience something that most people never feel in their own space. You feel like a guest, a welcome one, in a home that is completely, quietly, and effortlessly on your side. 10 habits, no storage hacks, no new products to buy, no weekend reorganization project that falls apart by Tuesday. Just a different relationship with your space and everything in it. Danshari stops the flood. 1 in, 1 out maintains the balance. The 5S system gives everything a home. Osoji resets what accumulates. The 80% rule protects the space that makes the system work. Zanshin closes every task properly. Threshold discipline keeps each room honest. Shun keeps your eyes open. Hitofude Gaki removes the friction. And Omotenashi to your future self turns your home into something that genuinely works for you every single day without you having to fight it. Your home should not be something you manage, it should be something that runs. Start with one habit, practice it until it's automatic, then add another. That's how the Japanese do it, quietly, consistently, and permanently. Subscribe, because every week we break down the systems, habits, and philosophies that help you build a life that runs itself. See you in the next one.